Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your September 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, September is always noteworthy for Librans because it is the time when the sun goes into your sign. And even if your birthday is not in September, you likely feel that shift I was going to say September 22nd, but it's not always going to be on the 22nd. I don't know if the sun ever goes into Libra on the 21st. It always seems to me like it's the 22nd or maybe 23rd. But in that general vicinity, I'm sure some of you are 0 degrees of Libra and it's on the 21st. But in any case, the shift happens because the sun is coming from the 12th house. So for the first 3 weeks of the month, you may feel more of that contemplative energy. And truth be told, since this is a general forecast, this will actually continue until the degree of if you're listening for your rising sign, it will continue until that date that the degree represents. So for instance, if you have 10 degrees Libra rising, then, you might not have the sun go into your first house until, October 1st or something like that. Or if your date of birth is around that time. But, when I do these forecasts, I do them to be as easy to deliver as possible. So you have to check your individual chart in order to figure that one out. But the point is that whether it's at this time or in a couple of weeks, you're going to have this feeling of things starting to gel more because you're going to be starting a whole new cycle. But we have to talk about the 12th house because it's going to dominate for most of the month. And this may be a time that you're every year where you're like, wow, I feel a little bit more desiring solitude. I'm more quiet. I'm more meditative. I'm more serious, more into the spiritual than the social. And I think that this year is especially potent for this energy, Libra, because in 2023, there are going to be eclipses to your sign as well as your opposite sign, Aries. And the Aries energy is really something to behold because there are going to be 2 solar eclipses in Aries in the spring of 2023, or I could say March and April of 2023. So that is the area that hits your 7th house of committed partnerships, and that's the house that you rule. So there's added import or importance to that area of life. So you can look at this time as kind of the gestation period of birthing a whole new potential life for yourself in 2023. And you will have the first eclipse in your sign in October of 2023. But that's, getting far ahead of ourselves. By the way, I just found out I'm in a flight pattern. Where I live, there's not like planes that are constantly flying overhead, but sometimes they do route it in a way so that it can take the burden off of other areas, I guess. And then they're like every 2 freaking minutes. So I'm tired of pausing this recording. I think I'm just going to do it so you'll understand. So the sun is going to go into your sign either the 22nd or 23rd, depending on where you live in the world. But before that, let's talk about some of the other things. Venus is going to go into that 12th house on the 5th. And the 12th house for Venus can be something where you might meet someone. This is your ruler. So this is a very important transit for you from that angle. Um, you might meet somebody who fits the bill as a soulmate. Um, but the 12th house is the house of karma. So, soulmate or adversary from many lifetimes, you make the call, because sometimes people will say to me, even like in private readings, if they're getting love readings, like, oh, this person feels so familiar. Well, yeah, but is this person really good for your life? I mean, that's the bottom line. Somebody can feel familiar, but they might be somebody that you keep bumping into because you won't learn that lesson. Whatever that lesson is, either being assertive, um, honoring yourself, not taking crap from other people. Perhaps in other lifetimes you allowed that person to dominate you, and so you see them again. But in any case, it could be the positive side, where this is somebody who is like kind of your spiritual counterpart. And it can also be working on an artistic project behind the scenes that you don't necessarily want to share. It's kind of like a secret project. I would say like a passion project, even that you just love, love, love. And on the 10th, we have Mercury retrograding. And Mercury is going to retrograde in your sign at 8 degrees of Libra. And so this is going to be a time where it's going to go back into Virgo. So it's going to go back into that 12th house. So that's a kind of an interesting jump from houses. I was going to say the timeline jump, because the 12th house, dealing with the past, is the past the future. And really what it can mean, and this is something that I recently heard somebody mention, in the spiritual community mention, and I really think that is true, because I've certainly experienced this, and maybe you have too, where you feel like you're making a lot of progress, and then you have something happen that you react in the old way that you used to react, and you think, oh, damn, I'm still stuck in that old pattern. And yet you're not. An example would be somebody who is an alcoholic or some kind of an addict, and they fall off the wagon. And there are two ways that you can handle something like that. You can either go, okay, damn, I guess I'm just an addict, and then just stay one for the rest of your life, and until the end. And the end may be premature because of that. Or you can say, I had a slip up and I know why, and you can connect the dots, and you can like look to all of the um, positive changes that you have made, and you can see this as an aberration rather than the norm. And so, and actually, it's interesting because I didn't think about this. The 12th house can be the house of addiction. So, maybe, I was meaning to say this for some of you, um, because it's easy to beat yourself up in that type of circumstance, especially. And by the way, addiction isn't just substance abuse, it can be any kind of obsessive compulsive behavior where you feel like you are driven to do something, and you feel almost like you can't help yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't, but you feel that way. And feelings are very important. They do play a big part in how we perceive things. So, um, Mercury going back into that 12th house can certainly give you, it's that soul searching, that connecting the dots, which is really done. This is an intuitive house. It's not about logic all the time, although logic is important in life, of course. But this is transcending that and is also about really perceiving why you're doing what you're doing. And you can make peace with that when you understand this. Your first house is the house of the self. And so for Libra, how do you carry yourself? How do you present yourself? A lot of Libras are very gracious, elegant, but sometimes you might find it hard to say no and to stand your ground. You may be too willing to go along to get along. And this may, when these things happen, the Mercury retrograde, yeah, that's happening, but something else apart from that may occur in your personal life that this highlights. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. I'm not saying that the Mercury retrograde is just happening on its own. Some other things are happening that may, you could say force you to look at this type of scenario in your life. And then you might say to yourself, like, for instance, relationship issues. If you say to yourself, okay, I'm not getting along with my partner, and I don't feel like I'm the one who is causing the problems. I feel like this person is the problem. Even if that's the case, you have to look at yourself. How am I contributing to this? Well, I keep allowing this person to get their own way. I don't stand up for myself when I know I should. I don't want to make waves. That's a big one with Libra. I don't want to make waves. I don't want to cause problems. But guess what? I can't speak for everyone, but I just know from experience that the Libra people that I know, some of them seem like they had relationships full of drama. And that's kind of interesting because, if you look at your chart, your seventh house, your descendant or seventh house cusp is Aries. So that is going to be quite I don't know if they call that the animus in Freudian psychology or something, where it might be like the shadow, in a sense. And I'm not saying that house represents that. That would be like the eighth house, but I'm just talking about this idea of the opposition, if it has something to do with that. And yeah, I mean, you're going to have a full moon in Aries in October, and that's going to be when the sun is in the first and the moon is in the seventh, in these opposing signs. So there could be this prelude to relationship issues that you have to kind of really think about now. And I'm giving you food for thought in advance. So, on the 10th of the month, we have a full moon at 17 degrees of Pisces. And this is going to be in your sixth house of work and health. And, this is another thing where I always smile when I think about this, because somebody thought that was kind of crazy that I said something like, well, it can either be that maybe you get a promotion or you end your job. And they were like, so you're telling me either I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to get a promotion? And I don't mean that that you will lose your job. It could be that you walk off your job. But it can also be that you get a promotion, because the full moon has different implications for different people. And it can totally be that you will not even notice anything different. Gotta mention that. Have experienced it myself. All of these transits are uh, for, I was going to say for spiritual entertainment, but they're actually to help you to navigate potential energies, but they're always potential. Whether they will manifest is anyone's guess. But in case you're already dealing with things at work, things could come to a head at this point. And not just with a boss, because the 10th house is the authority figures. This could be your coworkers. And you may find out that your coworkers have been kind of saying stuff behind your back or whatever. I mean, secrets can come out at this time, or that you already know how they are and you just have had enough. Again, well, I'll say it this way: you have Mercury transing your first house, and on the 23rd of the month, that's when it goes back into Virgo and back into the 12th house, and can allow you to think about things at a higher level about whatever it is that you're dealing with. But when the focus is on yourself, it's easy to look at other people. When you feel persecuted, it's easy to look at other people and to blame them for doing something, but we do have to look at ourselves. And we have to say, am I participating in this? Well, of course we are, because we're part and parcel. Even if somebody is truly persecuting us. You know, sometimes I'm kind of introverted. So like when I'm in a social situation, I feel very awkward. And I kind of am aloof, and it's not because I'm cold or I'm not unfriendly per se, but I definitely probably come across that way. But I always perceive everybody else as socially confident and stuff like that. And yet people are people. And so if they kind of feel threatened because they think I'm standoffish, then maybe I'm going to create this type of self-fulfilling prophecy where I don't feel accepted because I always think that I'm not going to be accepted. So I am comfortable with that, and I am not going to kind of jump to conclusions why somebody's treating me a certain way, because they may be protecting themselves. So the same thing applies to you, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't, um, stand up for yourself either, because you may be too afraid of rocking the boat that you take responsibility for somebody else's feelings, and that might be what you have to kind of work through. So maybe you need to put your foot down about people who are kind of making it hard, making it unpleasant to be in that situation. And for some of you, it might be both. You get a promotion and you find out who your friends are, right? But yeah, so there's some kind of developments there with the workplace or with health matters, perhaps. And on the 22nd or 23rd, the sun goes into your sign. Expect to start to feel more and more vibrant as it leads up to either the degree of your rising sign or the date of your birth. And by the way, the date of your birth, you have to look at the degree of Libra, the sun in Libra, because it's not going to necessarily follow that way. On the 23rd as well, Mercury goes back into Virgo. So that's into that 12th house. And like I've already discussed what that means. And then on the 29th, Venus goes into your sign. Yay. That's always fun, especially since it's your ruler. So expect to have maybe extra blessings at this time for the next few weeks. I was thinking of Queen for a Day. And that was way before my time, but and I was thinking about, yeah, but what about the male Libra people? Well, you can be queen for the day too. Now, queen for 3.5 weeks, or king for 3.5 weeks. So enjoy those extra blessings and enjoy your solar return, Libra, and have a great month. If you would like a personal reading, this is a particularly potent time because you're probably thinking about your future year. And I have a double reading that's at a special price because it's like a 2 reading package. 1 hour each of natal chart interpretation and important transits for the upcoming 12 months. It's called my deep dive reading. You can find out about that one and other readings at the link below. Take care. Bye.